Chapter 2. How are shadows made? Do you remember any interesting facts about how light travels? In the last chapter, you learned that it travels in waves that can be measured in wavelengths. You also learned that it travels at a very high rate of speed. Here's another interesting fact. Light waves travel from a source in straight lines that spread out in all directions like rays. Take a look at the image on the opposite page. In this image, there are several light sources. Each source or dot of light has several rays of light shooting out. Put your finger on the source you can see. Now, using your finger, trace the lines of light coming out from that source. Each ray of light is a straight line. Have you ever wondered what happens when a line or path of light bumps into something in its way? Different things may happen depending on what exactly is in the light's path. If a path of light hits something that is transparent, most of the light will pass right through. Air, water, and glass are all transparent. When light hits these transparent objects, it passes through to the other side. It's almost as if the object isn't there. Most buildings have glass windows so that natural sunlight can travel from the outdoors inside. Have you ever been in a building that has a glass roof or skylight? Sometimes you can even see blue sky and clouds through the skylight. How do you know that the glass in this skylight is transparent? Light cannot travel through all materials. If a path of light hits something that is opaque, the light is absorbed and blocked by the object. It cannot continue in a straight line through the object. Wood, cardboard, and even a person's body are all opaque objects. Light cannot pass through to the other side. Instead, a shadow is created because the light is absorbed. Look around your classroom. Do you see transparent objects through which light is passing? Can you also find opaque objects? You will probably find that your classroom has many more opaque objects than transparent ones. Do you see any shadows? Are people's bodies transparent or opaque? How do you know? The shadow created by blocked light takes on the shape of the object. Can you guess the object or objects that are making the shadows in these images? What objects created these shadows? Are these objects opaque or transparent? The size of a shadow depends on several different things. The closer an object is to a light source, the larger the shadow will be. If you move the same object further away from the light source, the shadow will become smaller. So the size of the shadow changes, even though the size of the object does not. What makes the shadow larger or smaller is the distance of the object from the source of light. Shadows can be different sizes. What causes the size of a shadow to change? You can experiment making larger and smaller shadows just by using your hand. You will need a light source, such as a flashlight or projector, several sheets of large white paper and a marker, masking tape, a blank wall, several helpers, a cardboard cutout of a tree. First, tape a piece of white paper to the wall. Then, mark a spot on the floor and tell a classmate to stand on that spot to project the light. He or she should not move. Now, try holding the cutout of the tree in front of the light so that a shadow is projected onto the white paper. Have one classmate put a piece of masking tape marked 1 on the floor next to where you are standing. At the same time, another classmate should trace the shadow of the tree on the white paper. Mark this tracing of your shadow with a 1. Here's what you need to experiment with shadows: a light source, masking tape, paper and marker, a blank wall, helpers, a tree cutout. Next, tape up another sheet of white paper. This time, move away from the light, closer to the sheet of paper. Have your classmates mark the floor and shadow, tracing with a 2. Last, try it one more time. This time, move closer to the light, even closer than the spot marked 2. Have your classmates mark the floor and shadow, tracing with a 3. Now, compare the tracings. Which is the biggest? Where were you standing in relation to the light when the tree made the biggest shadow? Where were you standing when the tree made the smallest shadow? Is the cutout of the tree making these shadows closer to the light in the top image or the bottom image? You can have even more fun making shadows with your hands. Try making the shadows in these drawings. Look carefully at one drawing at a time. Try placing your hands exactly as shown in the drawing. Practice several times. When you think you have it right, try making the shape in front of the light. If you get really good, you might want to put on a show for your family. You can make shadow puppets with your hands.